The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, was established in 2004 by an act of the National Assembly. The act empowers the organization to carry out rigorous public enlightenment campaign against economic and financial crimes in Nigeria. In order to achieve this, the Commission designed special programs on television and radio, designed a quarterly publication, Zero Tolerance, a monthly online newsletter, EFCC Alert, handbills, flyers, billboards, and a host of other mechanisms to educate and enlighten the public about the ills of corruption in our society and why it should be eradicated. This program is one of such medium created for such purpose. Good evening to you and welcome to another edition of the program. My name is Aisha Gambari. On today's edition of the program, we shall be bringing you a review of all our stories in the year 2016. In the year under review, we shall be bringing you stories on arrests, convictions, programs, flag-up, and collaborative efforts between the EFCC and various stakeholders within and outside the country. We begin the review with a call on Nigerian women across the country to be change agents and wage a determined and sustained war against corruption in Nigeria. Kamil Igebi is standing by with the recap. Please stay tuned.
Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, wife of the president, made the appeal in a keynote speech as she flagged off the Nigerian Women Against Corruption WAC project of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, December 7th at the International Conference Center, Abuja. Mrs. Buhari, who described corruption as a monster and cankerworm that had eaten deep into the fabric of the nation, said for it to be tamed, the role of women had become critical.
Corruption fuels serious crimes such as terrorism, kidnapping, child trafficking, drug trafficking, gun running, and a number of other crimes that directly and severely impact women of all ages and backgrounds. My dear Nigerian women, the individuals and group most affected by these corrupt acts are us, the women. The struggles the women face daily, either in education, justice, healthcare, or employment, are indeed enormous. There is, therefore, no one single group better positioned to understand the issue of corruption, and at the same time, there is no other group with more influential tentacles as professionals, mothers, wives, and sisters.
She further encouraged women to use their natural instincts to care and nurture their children, who in turn would exhibit sound values that would bring the country out of the doldrums. In her presentation titled, Women, the Missing Link in the Fight Against Corruption, the guest speaker, Justice Mariam Aloma Mukhtar, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, identified a major cause of corruption as the pressure that some women place on their male counterparts to live above their means. Earlier in his welcome address, the acting chairman EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, identified corruption as the reason the country has been unable to transform its rich natural and human resource endowment into prosperity.
Today's ceremony is the climax of many months of toil by stakeholders drawn from various ministries, departments, and agencies, underlining the fact that everyone is affected by the corruption cankerworm, and there is no monopoly of ideas, on how to root it out of Nigeria forever. Ladies and gentlemen, the project which we are about to flag up this morning is unique. It's a unique initiative of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, designed to mobilize Nigerian women to become active change agents in the important national agenda to reclaim our nation from the grips of corruption.
The flag-off further showcased various artists that performed songs that emphasized the dignity of the Nigerian woman and called for national rebirth, cohesion, and focus in the war against economic and financial crimes. Still talking about efforts towards curbing corruption and creating awareness amongst the populace, Acting Chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, as part of activities to mark the International Anti-Corruption Day celebrations, led staff of the Commission on a road walk from its headquarters in Usetu to Ladikwali Hall, Sheraton Hotels, Abuja, venue of the celebration. Dressed in different colorful attires, members of staff carried various banners with messages urging members of the public to kill corruption before it kills Nigeria. Also in the year under review, with a view to effectively tackle corruption in Nigeria, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has resolved to vigorously enforce its mandate alongside preventive initiatives. To this end, the Commission unveiled the Creative Youth Initiative Against Corruption, held at Dennis Hotel, Abuja in October 2016. Explaining the project initiator, Foluke Michael, said the idea was conceived out of the need to give children a platform to express themselves. She said, the project is designed to nip the tree of corruption at the bud by catching them young. The children, she said, are taught to recognize, reject, and condemn corruption, which is done through education and creative development. High point of the occasion was the unveiling of the project logo and website by the acting chairman EFCC, Ibrahim Magu. In another development, acting chairman EFCC, Ibrahim Mustafa Magu, charged Nigerians to imbibe the culture of living with clean hands against corruption. Magu made this call at the Clean Hands Against Corruption campaign launched at the Eagle Square, Abuja in May 2016. The event, which started with an anti-corruption walk from the EFCC head office to Eagle Square, Abuja, was led by Magu in conjunction with heads of various civil society groups such as the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, National Union of Road Transport Workers, Youth Media and Communication Initiative, members of staff of EFCC, and other government agencies. The procession moved through the metropolis, dancing and carrying placards with messages urging the society to shun corruption and support the fight against the scourge. In his welcome address, titled, "We Must Win the War on Corruption and Impunity," at the Eagle Square, which was the venue of the launch, Magu expressed his happiness for the large turnout in support of the anti-corruption crusade.
In just 6 months of this year, we have secured over 150 convictions, including some involving elusive high-profile criminals. We have recovered billions of dollars worth of stolen funds and blocked numerous avenues of money laundering. We have blocked a lot of leakages.
The anti-graft czar added that the commission had kept faith with its mandate and the expectations of Nigerians, pointing out that the anti-corruption war is never an easy task, and thereby urged the citizens to be steadfast in order to win the war, adding that the commission since inception has been reshaping the face of law enforcement in Nigeria.
Over the last 13 years, the EFCC has been reshaping the face of law enforcement in Nigeria. Not that we have not had our fair share of the challenges. However, over the past 1 year of the life of this administration, the Commission has been revamped and has continued to set the pace in investigation, prosecutions, and prevention. The past glory of the EFCC is now being gradually restored, as testified to by Nigerians and members of the international community. This is because we have kept faith with our mandate and the expectations of Nigerians.
Also speaking at the occasion is the co-founder of Transparency International and co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili.
If any Nigerian is serious at all about the necessity for the greatness of our nation, then they must take the fight against corruption seriously. Because the consequences of not taking the fight against corruption seriously is that the nation will be forever mortgaged. Nigeria is a country that the whole world agrees has had incredible potential to be one of the leading countries of the world. As a matter of fact, at the time of independence of Nigeria, many around the world took bets, including many around the world with very strong academic distinction. They took a bet that Nigeria was the country, the black nation, that was very likely to put in hot pursuit all other nations of the world in terms of the greatness that it carried. However, sadly, this is some 56 years after our independence. And when some of those who took that bet on Nigeria look at what has become of our nation today, they ponder what went wrong. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what went wrong is what EFCC has been established to tackle. I want to say to you that I congratulate the chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Magu, and his colleagues in the commission for the amazing work of renewing the vigor that EFCC needed to demonstrate in the fight against corruption. Would you join me in acknowledging the EFCC?
The Clean Hands project was also launched across all the zonal offices of the Commission. Still on activities under review, the EFCC lauded the support the Commission had received over the years from the British government in its drive to purge Nigeria of corruption. Ibrahim Magu, acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, made the commendation while receiving a delegation from the UK under the aegis of Parliamentary Committee on International Development, who were on a visit to the Commission's head office in Abuja in February 2016. Going down memory lane, Magu pointed out that the first funds received by the Commission was actually gotten from the British government and that the fund was instrumental in the building of the EFCC Academy. The leader of the delegation, Stephen Twigg, expressed satisfaction over the activities of the Commission in the fight against corruption and encouraged it to be steadfast in its vision to make Nigeria a corrupt-free nation. The delegation thereafter visited the Commission's permanent head office project, where facilities and other structures on ground were assessed. Still on foreign partnerships, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) is to work in partnership with the Cybercrime Convention Committee (CCC) with a view to effectively tackle cybercrime in Nigeria. This was disclosed when the acting chairman EFCC Ibrahim Magu received members of the Cybercrime Convention Committee who were on a visit to the Commission's head office in Abuja in March 2016. Alexander Seeger, Executive Secretary of the Cybercrime Convention Committee, lauded the decision of the Commission to partner with the CCC. In a related development, Acting Chairman EFCC Ibrahim Magu has assured the World Food Programme of the much-sought support to ensure transparency in the administration of relief to internally displaced persons in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Roberto da Silva, Assistant Executive Director WFP, urged the EFCC to ensure transparency, credibility and accountability in the disbursement of funds and purchase of food items for the Northeast. Da Silva, who led a delegation on a courtesy visit to Magu in Abuja in October this year, said the program focuses on food assistance with humanitarian and social objectives, adding that the program was targeted at over 700,000 individuals, including 20,000 children. In terms of interagency collaborations, the Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs, Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali, retired, described the EFCC as the pivot on which the fight against corruption in Nigeria rests. He said this when he paid a courtesy call on the acting chairman of the EFCC at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Also in the quest to strengthen the relationship between the EFCC and the military, Magu visited the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Burutai, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Abubakar Sadiq, and the Chief of Naval Staff Ibok Ekwe Ibas, all in the quest to drum the military's continued support in the fight against economic and financial crimes, as the EFCC alone cannot fight the corruption war. In a similar vein, Magu was also at the police headquarters, Abuja, where the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, commended the commitment of the Commission to the fight against corruption in Nigeria. The media was not also left out, as the acting chairman visited the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) and Dark Communications PLC, owners of AIT and Repower FM, to seek for support and collaboration in the fight against economic and financial crimes.
Thank you, Kamilu, for that brief review. We now move to a recap of our court cases in the year under review. Kamilu Gebi, again, is standing by.
In the area of prosecution, the trial of former Benue State Governor Gabriel Suswan and his Finance Commissioner Omodachi Okolobia is progressing before Justice A.R. Mohammed of the Federal High Court in Abuja, where the EFCC has called several witnesses. Other former governors being prosecuted include Sule Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State. Lamido, who is being prosecuted alongside his two sons, Aminu and Mustafa, and two others, allegedly abused his position as governor between 2007 and 2015 by awarding contracts to companies where he had interests, using his two sons as fronts. The former governor was equally alleged to have collected kickbacks from contractors in the state, with the funds allegedly paid into accounts that were managed by his sons. Murtala Nyako, former governor of Adamawa State, his son, Senator Abdulaziz Nyako, who is a serving senator, Abubakar Aliu, and Zulkifik Abba are being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) on a 37-count charge bordering on criminal conspiracy, stealing, abuse of office, and money laundering. Ikedi Ohakim, former governor of Imo State's trial, is also progressing before a federal high court sitting in Abuja on a 3-count charge of money laundering by the EFCC. The former governor is being prosecuted, among other things, for deliberately neglecting to disclose all his assets in the declaration submitted to the commission. And away from that, the case of a former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (NIMASA), Patrick Akpobolokemi, and 8 others, who are under trial on a 40-count charge bordering on money laundering and stealing before Justice I.N. Buba of the Federal High Court Lagos, is also progressing. The EFCC has called a number of witnesses and tendered various documents as exhibits before the court. Now to the Armsgate saga. Amongst those arrested and arraigned in connection with the arms procurement fraud that shook the history of financial crimes in the country are a former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired. Dasuki, who was first arraigned in 2015, lost the bid to stop his trial before Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja. Dasuki, who is the first defendant, alongside Shuaibu Salisu, a former Director of Finance and Administration, Office of the National Security Advisor, Aminu Babakusa, a former General Manager, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Acacia Holdings Limited, and Reliance Referral Hospital Limited, are being prosecuted by the EFCC on a 19-count charge bordering on money laundering and criminal breach of trust to the tune of over 13 billion naira. Also docked was a former Minister of State for Finance, Bashir Yuguda, and 5 others before Justice Peter Afen of the Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting in Maitama, Abuja, on a 22-count charge bordering on conspiracy, bribery, abuse of office, and criminal breach of trust to the tune of about 30 million naira. A former chairman of the People's Democratic Party and ex-Minister of Defense, Dr. Bello Haliru Muhammad, and his son, Bello Abba Muhammad, were not left out. The father and son were dragged before Justice A.R. Muhammad of the Federal High Court Abuja on a 4-count charge bordering on criminal breach of trust and money laundering. Still within the PDP circles, the former National Publicity Secretary of the party, Olisa Metu, and his company, Destra Investment Limited, was also taken before Justice Abang of the Federal High Court Abuja for allegedly receiving 400 million naira from the Suki. The EFCC has also beamed its searchlight on the country's military formation as prominent serving and retired military officers were also picked up in relation to the Armsgate scam. Amongst them is the ex-Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Bade, and the former Chief of Air Staff, Adeshola Amosu.
Glad to have you join us again. You're still on to the program, The Eagle, and today's program focuses on the review of activities within the EFCC in the year 2016. Up next, we'll take a look at convictions secured by the Commission, which is put at over 150 in the year under review. Amongst the convicts are 9 foreigners that include 5 Bangladeshi and 4 Filipinos, alongside their vessel ANTI-GRAFT. Rolake Odofin Jolayemi takes us through.
In the area of conviction in the year 2016, the Commission recorded its highest number of convictions within the year. In one instance, Justice Abdul Kafarati of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja ordered the extradition of one Franca Asemota, a Nigerian fugitive whose extradition is being sought through the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation to the United Kingdom for offences bordering on trafficking of minors. Asemota is wanted by the UK government for trafficking of minors to Europe through London. Also, Justice Latifa Okunu of the Lagos State High Court, sitting in Ikeja, convicted and sentenced an undergraduate of Kuala Lumpur Metropolitan University, Malaysia, Hope Olusegun Aroke, to 24 years imprisonment for his involvement in an internet scam. Aroke was arraigned on a 2-count charge bordering on obtaining money by false pretense, check cloning, wire transfer, and forgery. The court found him guilty of the 2 charges and he was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment on each of the 2 counts. And convicted by Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court Lagos are 9 foreigners alongside their vessel, ANTI-GRAFT, to 5 years imprisonment for illegal oil bunkering. The convicts, who were arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on June 18, 2015, were found guilty on a 4-count charge that bordered on conspiracy and illegal oil bunkering. They include Axel Joseph Gibo Jabon, MD Zahirul Islam, Wanto Camireno Infantado, Swarin Fernando Alave, Gatila JP Gatayan, Islam Shahinu, Islam Rafiko, Sheikh Shibli Nomani, and Rolando Jose Comendado, and the vessel is ANTI-GRAFT. Also convicted and sentenced by Justice Oluwatoyin Ipaye of the Lagos State High Court is one Olawale Garuba. Garuba was arraigned alongside 6 others in July 2015 for conspiring amongst themselves to steal over 30 million naira from the bank accounts of a deceased customer of a New Generation Bank where the convicts worked. The fraud was uncovered by the bank when they discovered that some of their staff, including the convicts, had connived with proxies to steal from a dormant account of one of the bank's customers. Ojukwu Nnamdi Roland and Ngene Linus Chibuike, arrested at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, while attempting to smuggle over $5 million out of the country, were also convicted and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment each by Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos. In terms of recoveries, the Commission has been aggressive in asset tracing and recovery. Billions of naira in cash and assets have been recovered by the agency in the past 1 year. Rolake Odofin Jolayemi, reporting for the Eagle.
Welcome back. A very interesting review, I must say. The year was filled with so many activities, and we thank you all, our viewers, for being part of it. We thank you for the continued support. I will continue to count on you in the new year. On behalf of the entire Eagle crew, my name is Aisha Gambari, wishing you a happy and prosperous 2017. Please do not forget to play your part in the fight against corruption by exposing all acts of corruption going on around you. To do so, send your emails to theeagle@efccnigeria.org. Thank you very much for watching. God bless Nigeria.